everybody, it's Hannah and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a makeup inventory for the start of the year, and I thought that this would be a really good idea. Somebody actually commented it on, I think it was one of my declutter videos or a shop my stash video, and I thought that it would be really fun to do to kind of take inventory of all my products that I have right now, and then to redo that at the end of the year, see what products are the same, what products have changed, how different the number is. I would like for all of my things to not be as big. I feel like this is a lot of primers and I don't really use a lot of them. This isn't going to be a declutter, but this is going to be an overview of sort of all of the stuff that I have in my collection. So I guess we will go ahead and just start off. So I also will be counting like individual products. So like if any of them are the same, like these two are the same, I'm going to count this as two products because it's two different bottles and it's two things that I need to use up. So we will start and go over from left to right. So the first thing that I have is this Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, and this one is one that I've been using, and you can see here I have used quite a bit of it. And then I also have another sample. This is the same exact size, I just didn't take this one out of the box just because it was a backup. And this is really good. It's very nice and hydrating, and I really do enjoy it. Then another one I have is this one here from Touch in Sol. This is the Pretty Filter Glassy Skin Balm, and this one I really don't have that much left in here at all, and I really need to get on using it. You can see I've used up pretty much the entire thing. This is a very emollient, very hydrating primer, and it's perfect for the winter time. This is getting a little bit older now, so I would like to hopefully see this not in my collection by the end of the year. But yeah, really enjoy this one. Then I have this one here from e.l.f. This is the Dew Primer, and this is one that I used to have and I actually ended up decluttering it, and I repurchased it because so many people were talking about it, saying it was similar to the Milk Hydro Grip, which is one that I've used up before, but I just don't love it. It pills up a little bit on my skin, and sometimes my makeup goes a little bit weird over it, like it kind of separates, so I don't think that this one is going to last too long in my collection, even though it is fairly new. But for now, that is another one in my collection. Then I have this is the NYX Marshmallow Primer. This was super popular on TikTok. This one is really cool. It's like a marshmallowy texture, and it's very soft and very smoothing. It's not the most hydrating, but it definitely gives a little bit of some like richness to your skin, and it is very smoothing. Like this is one if you struggle with any sort of pores or texture on your skin, this is one that will help smooth over everything. It's not something that I typically struggle with, so if I were to kind of go back and repurchase this, I don't think I would, but I don't think it's something that I want to take out of my collection just yet, and I might like it for different parts of the year when my skin is a little bit different. But yeah, I do like it, and I don't know where that one will be by the end of the year. Then this one is a newer one. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I have mine in the shade 2. I did purchase the mini size of this and I used up that entire thing, and again, this one is so pretty, and it has a really nice glow to it, and it also even offers the tiniest bit of coverage. I like to use this on no makeup days, and then I also just like to use it under my makeup just to add a bit of a glow, and I've been obsessed with this and I don't think that's going anywhere. Then I have this NYX Plump Right Back with electrolytes. This is the plumping serum and primer. This is so good. It's sort of a gel-like texture, and you can see there, it's really nice. It definitely plumps up my skin. I definitely feel that. It's very hydrating and adds a sort of tackiness to my skin, but it does dry down where it's not super sticky, but it just provides a really nice base for your makeup, and I've been enjoying this and using it every day since I got it. That one's really good. Then I have this is the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer, but this is the blurring one, and this one definitely is very blurring. I'll try and show like on my knuckles. I don't know how well you'll be able to see. Mine just came out kind of greasy, so maybe I need to mix this up a little bit. Okay, so I did shake it up a little bit, and we'll see now, because I remember like using this on my face. Once you kind of blend it out and press it in, it actually gets a little bit thick and it like dries down into more of a matte finish. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see on my hands because I just put like moisturizing primer on my hands, but this is pretty good. I just don't think it's perfect for me. I actually got a sample of this Professional, and I think I like the Professional one a little bit more. It's not as sort of thick and sticky as this one, so we will see which one survived to the end of the year. But that was the next one I had. Then I have two primer sprays. I have this one here from Primark. This is the PS Primed for Life Probiotic Priming Mist. I got this at a Primark store, obviously. It's okay. I don't really gravitate towards priming mists. If I do, I'll normally go for my Fix Plus, so I'm not sure how much longer that will kind of last in my collection. And then again, I have my Fix Plus. This one I don't really use as a setting spray. I use it more as like a priming mist. So that's why I did put it with my primers. I love the smell of this and it's really nostalgic and I really enjoy it. Then I have two of these Stila One Step Corrects. I have used up one of these in 2021. This was a favorite for a really long time. It's really nice. It pumps out in like all sorts of different colors and it has a color correcting property to it. You can see even when you blend it together, it looks like it even has a bit of coverage. Once you blend it out fully, it doesn't really have that much coverage, but it just provides a really hydrating and smoothing appearance to your skin, and I really like that. And I was at, I think, TJ Maxx. Let's see, yeah, and I did see this for only $12.99, so I grabbed another one. This one's almost out, so I can only imagine that this bottle will be done, and then we'll see if I use up this one in 2022. Then I have this little Benefit Professional, this one I mentioned earlier. It's not as crazy as I thought it would be. It's a silicone-based primer, obviously, but it's pretty smooth. Like, it's not very sticky like how that Laura Mercier one is. And I do like to use this sometimes on my T-zone or like my nose just to fill in my pores a little bit, just because that is like the one area that I struggle with some texture. So I do like to use this in spot treatment areas, and it is the mini, so it's the perfect size for that. Then I have this Estee Lauder Futurist Aqua Brilliance Watery Glow Primer. I haven't tried this yet, and I don't know, we'll see if I declutter it or if I do ever end up trying it. But yeah, that is the last of my primers. So in total, I have 14 primers here. So now let's go ahead and move on to my foundations. Okay, so now onto foundation. I have quite a few varieties here. A lot of them I don't use, if I'm going to be honest, and I don't think that my foundation collection is going to be this big by the end of the year, just because I've really been only using concealer and rarely a couple of sort of more lighter coverage foundations. So I think a declutter may be in the future, but for now, this is everything that I have. So the first thing I have here is this from Givenchy. This is the Prisma Libre Skin Caring Glow Foundation. I think that's the name. This is in the shade 1N80, and this is a really nice foundation. It's a little bit liquidy. It's very light on me though. I got this through Influencer. They actually sent this to me. Then I have this one. This is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 30CG, which I definitely think is too dark for me. I used this a lot whenever I was wearing fake tan, and I do really like that, and I would recommend that foundation. My other favorite foundation, I would say this one, maybe like this one are my favorites right now, but this is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 4.5. It's not too bad. It's a little bit dark, but I definitely can make it work with a little bit of concealer. It's nothing too crazy. I really like this one, and it's definitely like my most used foundation in my collection. Then this I think is my newest foundation. This is the Glossier Skin Tint, and I have mine in the shade G11. It is a very, very light coverage, like pretty much just like watery type of thing you could see here, and it's very runny, but the shade match on me is perfect, and using it with the stretch concealer, it's a perfect duo, and I just really like that. Now I have here, all of these foundations here I'm kind of indifferent about. If I had to keep one out of all of the rest of these, excluding these ones here on the end, I would keep this e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. This is very full coverage. I have mine in the shade of Fair 120N, and it's a pretty good match for me. Then I have these two. This one is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear. I have mine in the shade 405. It's just not my favorite, and this is very, very old, so I don't think by the end of the year that will be in my collection much longer. Same thing for this Maybelline Superstay. I used to have two shades of this. I think this is the darker one. This is in the shade number 118 Light Beige. This is a really good foundation. Pretty full coverage. I would say it's like medium to full, and it lasts a really long time. Like, it's really good for that, but my bottle is just really old, and I don't think I'd repurchase it right now just because I'm happy with some of my other things that I have, but it is a really good option at the drugstore. Then I have this here. This is the Essence Fresh and Fit Awake Makeup. I have mine in the shade number 20 Fresh Nude. I've actually used up an entire bottle of this before, but once I repurchased it and reused it after like maybe a year and a half of not having it, it's just not for me anymore. It's very full coverage and it's nice, but it just didn't wear that well, and I remember always liking how it wore, so maybe it just didn't agree with a primer I had or a setting spray that I used or even a concealer that I used with it, so I definitely do have to give that more of a shot this year. Then I have this MAC Studio Water Weight Foundation. I maybe used this like once or twice. I got this in a like MAC holiday thing that they were doing, where it was like you could purchase a certain amount of MAC products for like $50, and I got like 3 blushes, this, and like something else. And it's a really good deal, and I wanted to try out the foundation. It's one of these like serum dropper foundations, but I do think that this is discontinued, and the shade is okay. It's not too bad. It's just like a little bit like sort of pinky orange on me, so it's not the best shade match. And I don't know, not sure if this one will necessarily make it in my collection. I have a couple of other like lighter coverage things that I enjoy more, like the Glossier. And then this next thing here is the Kosas Tinted Face Oil. I have mine in the shade 3.5. This one's a little bit dark, but it's not too bad on me, especially in the summer, which is when I use this most. You can see it's very runny. It's literally just like it says, a tinted face oil. It does offer more coverage than you think. I would say even more coverage than the Glossier one, but it's really nice, and it's good for when I have like a super dry skin, because it's literally an oil, so it never clings to like any dry patches or anything, and it's really good. I'll move these over. I have this from Purely's. This is the Radiant Glow Illuminating BB Cream, and I don't know which shade this is in. Oh, it's in the shade Light Medium, so I don't know if I've ever used this. The seal isn't on it, but I don't think I've used it on my face. Oh, that looks a bit too dark. There's like nothing in this bottle also. I mean, I think I can make it work. It seems okay. I just have no desire really to try any new foundations at the moment. So I don't know. This one will probably get decluttered at some point in time. And then the last thing I have are 2 stick foundations, and I really like both of these. This is the Flesh stick foundation. I have mine in the shade 05 Creme Fraiche. I have like not that much left in here. It's really good. My skin always looks so good when I use this. The color match is really good for me. I don't know if they make that anymore, but I'm really sad if they don't, because that is one of the best stick foundations. And then another really good stick foundation is this one here from Primark. This is the PS My Perfect Color Foundation and Contour Stick. I have mine in the shade Porcelain. I don't know really what the shade options are in this stick. Like, I don't know how available this is, and I did buy this like in store at a Primark like a year ago, so I don't know if you can even get this anymore, but if you see it, I would recommend trying it out. It is pretty good. I have 13 foundations, and I definitely think by the end of the year I will be down to maybe like 6 foundations. That's my guess. Now let's move on to concealer. So for concealers, definitely not too crazy. At some point in time, I definitely had way more concealers than this, but I feel like now I'm pretty particular with them. So there's certain ones that I just like to repurchase, and ones that I know that I enjoy. And I guess going on to that, my current favorite one, and one that I've actually used up before, is the Glossier concealer. I have 2 of these right now. I have one in the shade G11 and one in the shade G10, which I'll do a quick little swatch. There's quite a difference between them actually. I used to have the shade G10, and I did use that up back when I was wearing like more fake tan. Also, G11 is like a really good color match for me, so I don't even know how well you'll be able to see it. But I did end up picking up G11 just because I'm not really using fake tan that much anymore. But I have used up an entire one of these before, and it was really good. I love the formula of this. So here's G11 and here's G10. Definitely quite a difference. If you're more on like the fair to light side, I would pick up G11. And if you think that you're more light medium for an under eye, I would even still pick up G11, just because the difference in them is pretty big. But the formula of them are the same, and I do really like these, so I can totally see them staying in my collection. Then I have 2 of these here from Hourglass. I have one in the shade Cotton and then one in the shade Oat, and these are really good. I feel like one used to be lighter than the other, but now they sort of like oxidized to honestly be like the same color. This one is Cotton, so we'll see which one is lighter. And the packaging on these is kind of messed up. I thought that mine was broken, so I actually emailed them saying that my stopper wasn't working, because it was really messy and it gets like all over everything, and like when you put it in and out, like it doesn't sound correct. So they did send me another one, and I asked for a different shade, which I think my original one that I purchased was an Oat, which is the darker one, and then they also actually decided to send me Cotton, which was really nice. So they're pretty similar. They're not too different. I do like the formula of these, but I don't think by the end of the year I'll have both of them still, just because I don't need both. I don't use this one as much compared to like my other ones, like my Glossier or even some of my more drugstore ones. So I do like them, but yeah, don't know if I'll have those by the end of the year. Maybe I'll have one, but I definitely don't think I'll have both. Then I have a longtime favorite, which is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Concealer, and I had mine in the shade Fair. I've gone through, I think, maybe 2 of these before this one. I took the stopper out, so it's very, very messy right now. This is such a good concealer. It was such a good shade match for me, although it does get really messy now that I did take the stopper out, which normally I don't do, but they did actually discontinue that one, which I'm really sad. This is more of a sort of lightweight serum concealer, so it was really, really good for my dry skin. I think they came out with a different one called the Bare Pro Concealer, which is supposed to be similar to how the Bare Skin Concealer was. So I do have to try that one out, but I have a few concealers right now. I did purchase like quite a few like newer ones, so I don't really need to buy any more concealers right now, but once I use up the Bare Skin and if I'm really missing it, maybe I will try out the Bare Pro. But yeah, that is the next one I have. And I have this one here from Rose Inc. This is their concealer in the shade LX30. This is one of my newest concealers and it's really good. The shade is actually pretty good for me as well. And I picked this one up in store, and when I actually looked up online, it said that it was a pink undertone. But honestly, I feel like it has more of a yellow or even just like a straight neutral tone. So I would definitely, like, if you're going off of the shades online, I would just see if you can go in store and swatch it, because then you'll be able to find a little bit of a better color match. But this is really good. It's probably my most full coverage concealer, so I do like to use that sort of all over as a foundation. Then this one is the Lancome Tint Idol Ultra Wear All Over Concealer, and I have mine in the shade Buff Neutral, I think. This one's pretty good. It's a little bit dark, so I don't use this on my under eyes. I would mostly use this to spot conceal on my face, again, when I'm a little bit more tan, because right now it's definitely way too dark for me. Then I have this. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I have mine in the shade Light Ivory. As you can see, I used a ton of this, and I've almost used it up completely. It's really good. It's pretty full coverage. The shade is nice for me, and I do like it. I don't know if I would repurchase it, just because, again, I have so many that I like, and I've been liking more of these super creamy emollient hydrating concealers, like the Glossier. This one is, although it's hydrating, it's not as thin as this one, if that makes sense. One that I do like from the drugstore actually is this one from Maybelline. This is the Instant Age Rewind Eraser. I have mine in the shade 110. I've been liking to use this for spot concealing, and it's a really good shade match actually. Like, it blends into my skin really easily, and it has a slight pinkness on it, so it's really good for like under eye correcting, and it's a nice thin formula. It's not very thick and very heavy, so I do really like that for the under eye. Then I have some correctors here on the end. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Under Eye Corrector in the shade number 1 Fair Pale. And you can see I've hit pan in here. Don't know if this one will be here by the end of the year. I would like to use this up. It is an under eye corrector, so it does have a little bit of a pinky orangeness to it, but I do just sort of use it on its own as a concealer, as like a lightweight concealer, and I do like it. And then I have this Kokie Be Bright Illuminating Concealer, and this one is just in the green shade. But this one's pretty good. I went through a phase where I had some pretty bad breakouts, so I did enjoy using that. And it is pretty new. I actually have used up an entire one of these just like in my regular like light shade. I really, really liked it, so I definitely would recommend this formula. And then in total, I have 11 concealers. So now let's go ahead and move on to some cheek products. So for my next category, we're going to be going over all my powders. So for somebody who only uses one of these powders, maybe 2 of them, this is kind of extensive. So definitely think this number is going to be cut down by the end of the year. I guess we'll go ahead and start with some of my pressed powders first. This is the MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NC30, and this one is not really my shade anymore. I used to use back when I wore some more darker foundations, but for a powder, it's honestly just way too dark now, so I don't think that will be staying in my collection much longer. And then I have this Becca Light Shifter Finishing Veil, and I have this in the shade Scattering 1. This is a really good, nice pressed powder. I got this before I picked up the Pat McGrath's powder, and this is what I was using. I do like that, and I definitely would want to keep it around, but it's just not one that I'm really using right now. Then I have 2 more pressed powders. I have the Pat McGrath's Labs powder in the shade Light. This one is almost done, so I probably will finish that by like the end of the week. But I do have a backup that I purchased, and this is a completely new one, which I also don't know if I will have that by the end of the year, just because this powder goes by very quickly, but I do really, really like it. clearly I did repurchase it, so it's really nice. Then I have this one here from Bare Minerals. This is actually their powder concealer in the shade Well Rested. I've seen people use this on their under eyes. I've tried it, I just don't love it on my under eyes. But for spots on my face that just like don't conceal, this is really, really good for some stubborn breakouts, so I definitely like that one. Then I have this from Too Faced. This is the Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder. I really liked this until I noticed that it gives my under eyes a little bit of a like tint, like kind of darkens my under eyes whenever I use it. I'm pretty sure it was this powder that did that. I definitely do have to try it out again. Then I have this. This is a gigantic Bare Minerals Mineral Veil Finishing Powder. And I like it. It's almost a little bit too drying on me though. Like when I use it, it's one of those very, very loose, finely milled powders, which it makes your skin look nice and flawless, but it's just very dusty and the packaging is so big. I don't know. It's just not one that I really reach for, so I'm not sure about that one. Then I have this. This is the Primark Blurred Out Skin Conditioning Universal Blurring Powder. This is one of those like HD powders that very similar to this one here from Bare Minerals. It's very kind of dusty and blows everywhere, and it gives you that really flawless type of look. It just gets everywhere, and for that reason I just like never ever want to use it. Like when loose powders have sifters that can like close, you know what I mean? Like the Beauty Bakery one, this is just a mini, but like the full size had one that you could just like click closed, and even like the Bare Minerals one, you can like twist it and close it, but on this big one I don't think you can. So that was a problem with it. And then this one here, it doesn't have that either, so it's just kind of, yeah, that one can close. Just kind of faulty packaging, and it just like really puts me off from wanting to use those. Then I have this. This is the Beauty Bakery Flower Powder. This is just a little baby mini. It's so cute though. This is one of my favorite loose powders ever. I've used up 2 full sizes of these, and I have the mini. I just haven't been using loose powder that much, which is why I didn't like repurchase the full size, and because I also have the mini one. Then another powder that I really like, and this one's actually talc free. This is the Lawless Seal the Deal Loose Setting Powder in Classic Translucent. This one I think I had in a project pan, but then I stopped doing my project pan. I've used about half of this. This is just the mini size. You don't need a lot of it, but this is really, really good, and it acts exactly, not exactly, but very similar to this one here from Beauty Bakery, which I really like because it's super hard for me to find powders that I enjoy. Then the last powder, this is another one of my favorites. This is the Maybelline Fit Me in 05 Fair. They have a ton of different shades of this. I've used up like almost my entire thing. I'm up to here. This is a really, really good powder. I used to have it in the shade 10, but I used 05 a little bit more, so I got rid of my 10 like a while back. But this is really good, and I do like having that in my collection. And for my powders, we have 11 powders. So let's go ahead and now move on to the next section. So next up here we have all of my like bronzer, contour stuff, pretty much just bronzer. I don't really use like a contour and a bronzer. I just use it for all the same thing. But before we start that, I did actually forget one powder, so we're gonna go and add one powder onto the tally for my rest of them. This is the Ciate Marbled Light powder in the shade Cashew. Now on for the categories like this, like blush, bronzer, highlight. Those ones are gonna be a little bit of some bigger categories, so I'm just going to go through things a little bit more quickly. I'm not going to go as in depth about everything. I'll just sort of let you know if I like it. Some general opinions, but nothing too crazy. I did recently do a declutter, so all this stuff's actually like pretty new. I did get out quite a few older products. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and just get into it. So this is here from Kiko. This is their Ocean Field Bronzer in Warm Honey. They constantly put out different bronzers in all sorts of different collections that are very similar to this marble one. This one's really, really good. I'll do sort of running swatch of here, but that's the first one. Then I have the Huda Beauty Glowish in the shade 03 Tan Light. This is one of my newer ones. This is a mini, but I really, really enjoy this. It's a really nice color. Even compared to that Kiko one, you can see it's a really nice sort of neutral brown. Then I have this. This is the Dior Forever Natural Bronze in the shade 05 Warm Bronze. I've been using this pretty much every day. This was in my Shop My Stash for this time period, and it's really good. Very similar in shade to the Glowish one, so I do like to use those together. Then I have the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is in the mini one, but it's just the original butter bronzer shade. I love the formula of this. I've used up countless butter bronzers. It's a really nice, not orangey shade at all, one of my more pigmented ones, so it's really, really easy to build up and does have a little bit of a glow to it also. That is always a forever fave. Then I have this one from Too Faced. This is the Sun Puppy bronzer. It was one of their limited edition bronzers, and it is so cute. I've used this a ton. Again, one of my other favorites that I have in my collection, and it's a really, really good shade. Very similar, not orangey at all. Looking back, actually, this Kiko one is kind of orange. So we'll have to see. Maybe in my next declutter, we'll have to do some better swatches. Then I have this. This is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Honey Drip. You can see I absolutely love this thing. It's almost empty. Let me see if I could scrape a little bit out just to get sort of a swatch for you. But this is so good. Really, really, really good shade. Blends out so nicely. It is sort of like a cream to a powdery finish, so you don't even need to set this if you don't really like to use powder over top your makeup, but still want to use a cream bronzer. This one's really good. Then I have this from Too Faced bronzer in Pineapple Sun. It is a little bit of a duo, but I decided I would just put it in my bronzers instead of my face palettes, just because it's marketed as a bronzer and not as like a duo. This one's pretty good. I love the shade of the bronzer. It's just, this one here is so shimmery next to it that even when you mix them together, it's almost just a little bit too glowy. So we'll have to see about this one, but I absolutely love the packaging. Then I have this. This is the Hoola Benefit Bronzer, and this is just the original Hoola. I love this. The shade of this is so nice. It's a perfect cool tone brown, and it's really nice to contour with if you want to do something like that, but then it's also really nice just all over the face, and it's a really good matte option. Then I have this from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is their cream bronzer in the shade Amber. I would say it's sort of similar to the e.l.f. in that they're both cream bronzers, but they're also not similar because the formulas are very, very different. This one is much more pigmented and a little bit more sort of emollient, like a true cream, whereas the other one, the e.l.f. one, is more of like a cream to powder, like I mentioned. But I do still like this one and think it's pretty good. Then I have this Luminous Bronze Light bronzer, one of my most glowy bronzers actually, and this one is also very pigmented, but I do really like it. A little bit orangey compared to some of these other ones here, but I do enjoy that one a lot. And then last one I have is this one here from Nabla. This is the Skin Bronzing in the shade Ambra or Ombre. I love this. This is another one that's in my current Shop My Stash. I was mixing this one with the Dior one, and they go together really, really well. It's a very buildable, very lightweight bronzer. It has that sort of like baked gelée formula where I really, really like it, and it's really nice to layer over top of things, or if you have more fair skin, it's a really good formula to sort of easily build up. All right, and now I have 11 bronzers in my collection. Now let's go ahead and move on to blush. So it is actually a couple days later, but now we are on to blushes, and if you see this, I went to see Six the Musical yesterday actually, and they stamped my hand, and I tried my best to get it off, but if you see that, this is as good as I can get it right now. But we have all of my blushes here. So again, since I have quite a few of these, it's not as crazy as it like once has been, just because I recently did a declutter. I will try and remember and put it up in the tags. I don't know if I mentioned this when I did my bronzer video, but I did go through all of these like fairly recently, so it's pretty curated to a lot of stuff that I like. But I will go through and swatch everything for you guys anyway. We'll go ahead and just start off with some of my cream blushes. So this first one here is from Bobbi Brown, and this is the Pot Rouge in the shade Powder Pink, and this is so amazing. I love this blush, the formula of it. It's a nice and thin formula, and it gives a little bit of a glow to it since it is a cream blush, but it doesn't give a like sticky feeling on my skin, which I find can sometimes happen with the Tower 28. And this Tower 28 one, I have mine in the shade Magic Hour. It's fairly similar to the Bobbi Brown one. Mine is very broken though, so I actually do have this in my Shop My Stash right now because I want to get a little bit more use out of it before it inevitably goes bad, since it is broken and it doesn't have like quite a good seal holding it closed anymore. But I don't know if you could tell, I have a pretty decent dip going in this. I used to use this a ton, then I got the Bobbi Brown one, And I find that I like this shade and the formula a little bit more since it's not as sort of sticky and thick as the Tower 28 one. But if my Tower 28 one does end up going bad, I definitely would consider picking this up again. It's a little bit of a more peachy kind of color compared to the Bobbi Brown one, which my lighting is kind of messed up, so I don't really know how well you'll be able to sort of see the colors here, but it's so pretty, and I really love both of those. So I added another light here on the side. I don't know if it's gonna help much more, but hopefully it'll show you the colors a little bit more true. So this one here is the Bobbi Brown, and then this one is the Tower 28. Really pretty. And for some reason, whenever I use my cellar water to remove my makeup, it leaves like kind of a white cast on my skin whenever I'm doing swatches on my hand, so don't mind that. But then I have 3 of these MAC ones. So this first one that I have here is in the shade Lovejoy. This is one of their mineralized blushes. That's what all 3 of these formulas are. This one is really good. It's a really sort of pretty like brown peachy kind of color, and it has a gold shift to it, and I absolutely love this one. Then I have this next one here called Like Me, Love Me. This one is a little bit of a more sort of brighter coral kind of color, and it's another one that I really like. A little bit similar to the shade in Lovejoy, but this one doesn't have any sparkle to it, whereas the Lovejoy shade does have a little bit of sparkle. Then I have this one here called Warm Soul, which is more of a sort of nude type of peachy color, and this one is one of my absolute favorites. It's a little bit lighter than the other ones, which I typically like to go for more of a terracotta, but it's really pretty on natural skin, and I think it looks super nice. Then I have this one here from Seraphine Botanicals. This is their Lychee and Gold Rose Gold blush, and this one, I say it literally every single time I talk about it, but this is the blush that got me into blush. It's so pretty. It is a kind of actually a pretty pinky sort of color, but it has a really nice gold shift to it, which you could see a little bit right there, and the formula of this is so nice and smooth on my skin, and it always makes my cheeks look really like airbrushed and pretty looking. So I love this blush, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get rid of that. Maybe one day, but not anytime soon. Then I have this one here from Clinique. This is the Cheek Pop in the shade number 10 Fig Pop. One of my favorite formulas for blush. It's so pretty. It's like a sort of satiny finish, so it has a bit of a glow to it, but the shade on here, this is one of my favorite shades. And you'll see a lot of my blushes, honestly, are very similar shade because I don't love pinks on my skin, so I tend to go for more of these terracotta or even nude kind of blushes, but really like that one. Then I have this one here from Chantecaille. This is the Grace blush, which is the turtle one. And this one is a little bit more pinky than I thought it was going to be, but it definitely has a hint of like nude to it. And the formula is really nice. You can see it's just a little bit more sort of pinky, very similar actually to this one over here, but it doesn't have any kind of like sparkle to it. It's a pretty matte blush, but I do like it. It's a very natural finish. Then I have this one here from Tarte. This is the Amazonian Clay blush in the shade Risque. This is like a pretty nude type of color, like probably one of the most nude blushes that I actually have in my collection. And I absolutely love it. I was looking for something like this, and I ended up purchasing this around Christmas time when they were having some sort of sale, and I absolutely love that one. Then one of my go-tos, like forever favorites, is Milani in Luminoso. Very basic, but the formula on this, it just, nothing beats it. It's such a pretty, like, glowy, dewy blush, and I'm obsessed with it. The color is so pretty. It has a little bit of a oranginess to it, and I think it's so gorgeous. And whenever I use this, I don't even need to use highlight all of the time, just because it has such a pretty finish on my skin, and I absolutely love it. Then I have this one here from Laura Mercier. This one is in the shade Grapefruit, which is probably like my most out there color. It is like a vibrant sort of red pink kind of color, and I wanted to use this and do a Christmas look, but I didn't end up doing that. But maybe I can do a Valentine's Day thing actually. But yeah, this is one of my most unique blushes, and I like having it around just because it's super fun. Then another one of my favorite blushes, actually, this used to be like a huge favorite, and then I picked up some other newer things that I haven't really been using, so I haven't been using this one as much, but this is the Ciate, don't know the name of this blush, but it's in the shade Date Night. It's so pretty. It's like one of their, I think it might be part of the Marbled Light collection, but this is described on their website as like a terracotta with some really pretty shimmer to it. And this is another one, I mean, just like all my other shades that I have here, it's so pretty, and it's a huge favorite. Then I have these two here from Animal Crossing. I have this one is in the shade Flower Tender. Oops, upside down. In Flower Tender. This one is not my favorite. It's like a pretty vibrant sort of pink, but I do have the whole collection, so I like to hold on to this one. It's not something I really usually go for. Maybe in the springtime if I want to do like a monochromatic kind of pink look, but for now it's not something I reach for. I just have it sort of more as like a collector's piece. Then this one is in the shade Flower Power, and this one I don't wear as much either, but I'm more likely to wear this just because it's such a unique color. It's almost sort of like a lilac kind of color, and I really like it. I used this in my original video where I was testing this and I did like a purple eyeshadow look. I think doing this as a monochromatic look is also really pretty, and again, it's a very different, it's like the only cool toned blush that I have, so I really like that. Then I have all these, which are pretty new. This one literally just came today. I've never used this on my face yet, but I have this one here from Huda Beauty. This is the Glowish blush in the shade Berry Juicy. It's one of their cheeky vegan blushes. And again, this is another really unique blush to my collection. It's like a really deep berry kind of color, and I literally have nothing like it, and I really want to use this for the winter time more. It's such a pretty wine color, and I'm really excited to try this one out. I feel like it would go really well with my retro palette, my Natasha Denona retro palette, just because the shades are sort of in the same era, or sort of like the same vibe. So I think that'd be really pretty. Then I have this one here from Melts. This is in the shade Raw Honey. This is one of their Digital Dust Duo blushes. And I mean, look at this. It is just a glowy, bronzy blush. This is so pretty. I've been loving using this. I have this in my Shop My Stash right now, and I've been using it like every single time I do my makeup. It is just so glowy and so pretty. And then a final one that I have is this from Pat McGrath. This is in the shade Paradise Venus, and this is a gorgeous color. I am like so excited to try this out. Definitely one of my darker blushes. I did not think it would be that dark, but I mean, it is so pretty. I cannot wait to try this on my face. I think that this color is gorgeous. Very similar to some of my darker ones. I feel like it would even go with like this Bobbi Brown one pretty well. I feel like they're pretty similar. Like if I were layering them, yeah, that would be a really pretty duo, doing the Bobbi Brown and then some of that Pat McGrath one on top. I think that'd be really gorgeous. But yeah, so this is all of my blushes. Let me go ahead and just count them up. If I counted correctly, I believe I have 17 blushes. Not too crazy, definitely a lot, but I do like a lot of them, and I do have a few multiples of some of my favorite ones that I have. Let's go ahead and go on to my highlighters. First one I have over here is the Natasha Denona Super Glow, and I have mine in the shade 02 Light Medium. I mean, this is one of the best highlighters out there. It is that glassy skin, really gorgeous, no glitter, just pure shine type of highlights, and it is so gorgeous. Like, look at that. It's so pretty. It's really good for my skin tone. It's just one of the best highlighters that I have in my collection as a whole. And we may as well just go into my one liquid highlight. This one here is the Light Lock Highlight Fluid in Fight or Flight from About Face, which is Halsey's brand. And this is really good. I don't really like liquid highlight, but this one I do like, actually. Oh, that was way too much. Normally you just need a very tiny amount of this, but I went a little crazy. But this is like crazy blinding, but it's really pretty, and I always just do like the tiniest amount, like way less than this, and it looks so pretty. This is a really good liquid highlight. Very shiny, not glittery, just super metallic, and really enjoy that one. Then I have two down here from Wet n Wild. The first one I have, both of mine are broken, by the way, because I've dropped both, but first one I have here is Precious Petals. This one is so good. This is a classic. You can see I've used like so much of it. I've had this one for forever, but it still outperforms like so many like high-end ones. It's just so gorgeous. It's a really pretty rose gold color, and I absolutely love this formula, and I would definitely recommend picking it up. They have a bunch of different shades, and it's such a good formula. Very similar, actually, to the formula of, like, Becca Champagne Pop. I have, like, Moonstone, which I feel like is a little bit not as shimmery as Champagne Pop, so I would say this is most similar to Champagne Pop, and the fact that it's very reflective. Then I have Bloom Time, which I feel like is just the lighter companion to Precious Petals, because it's also a really pretty rose gold, but it's much lighter and almost a little bit more pink. and I just think it's so gorgeous. And it's even more like blinding, especially since the reflect of it is a little bit of a brighter color, but it's just so pretty, and the formula on this is so amazing. I'm so sad that I broke mine. I've seen Precious Petals and I think Golden Flower Crown in store, and then like the other like white to pink reflect one. I don't know. I have not seen Bloom Time, but if you do end up seeing it anywhere, I would definitely recommend picking it up. That one is so, so good. Then I have two MAC ones over here. This one is in Soft and Gentle, which is one of their mineralized skin finishes. I'm obsessed with this. It's such a pretty, just like nude highlight. It melts into my skin and it just gives such a gorgeous glow. And I don't know, I really like it, and I feel like it's super skin-like and it's just really undetectable. Then I have this one, which is Double Gleam, which is one of their Extra Dimension skin finishes. And this one is a much more of like an icy kind of gold color. It's definitely one of my brightest highlights that I have. And you can see, I mean, unlike the liquid one, but it's really, really bright and has a super pretty reflect to it. I also really, really like that. Both of these MAC ones in both of the formulas, I would recommend picking up any shade. I've only tried these ones from them, but they're so pretty. Then I have two from Estate. This one is in the shade Do Me. Oh, this is one of their Do Me highlighters in the shade Pearl. This one, I don't have many like it, so I wanted to keep one. And I really liked the formula of this one even better than the one from Wet n Wild. This is like a white to like sort of pinky reflect, or just like a super white kind of icy highlighter, and I only have this one that's like that, so I wanted to get that one. So I wanted to keep this. Both of them I received in separate Ipsy bags, and I've kept them because I love, love, love this one. So I tried out that one, and I really like how that one looks also. But anyway, this one is in the shade Lit, and this is such a pretty one. Since it's like a baked formula, it's so smooth, and it like does not highlight any texture on your skin, and the color of this is also really nice. It's just like a super pretty kind of champagne gold color, and I don't know, I really, really like it. And I feel like I have a pretty good variety of highlighters. Maybe we'll get a little bit more repetitive over here, but so far I feel like I have really nice variety, and they all serve a purpose in my collection, so I'm happy about that. Then I have this one here from Hip Dot. This is their Golden Hour highlighter, which is kind of an orangey, peachy shade, and I have not tried this out yet. I just received this in my Ipsy bag, so I haven't tried it on my face yet. I don't know how I'm gonna like it. It's very, very orange, so I don't know if it's gonna be too dark for me. If it is, then I may end up decluttering it at some point, but I do have it right now, so have to include it in my inventory. Then I have this one here from Stila. This is the Heaven's Hue highlighter in the shade Kitten. This is really pretty. It's one of the like putty ones. And this, if you want undetectable, this formula is crazy. Very similar to ColourPop Super Shock in the sense that it's like a cream to powder. But I mean, the formula on this and the shine and the smoothness is just amazing. And the more that you sort of shear it out and blend it out, the more beautiful it gets. I'm just obsessed with this one, and I would really recommend picking it up. Kind of expensive, but I got mine on Poshmark for really, really cheap, like 10 bucks or something, brand new, and I'm obsessed with it. It's really good. And then speaking of ColourPop, I have this one here from the Villains collection. This is the Hades highlight, which this one is so cool. It's like a sort of yellow with like a pink reflect to it. And mine, even though I've had this for quite a while and it's like just in its cardboard packaging, mine is still really good, super fresh, and it's just so unique to me, like the way that it has like this pink shift to it, which hopefully you could see. I don't know, I really like it, and I love the like cream to powder formula just because it's so smooth and it doesn't look like, it doesn't sit on top of your skin, it like soaks into your skin, so it's really good. Up here I have this one from Nabla. This is the Skin Glazing in Amnesia. This one is a really pretty gold color, very, very blinding. It's a little bit more textured than some of my other ones, but I still do like it when I want to go for something a little bit more sort of intense or shiny. Yeah, really, really like that one, and again, it's in a super pretty gold color. Then this is one of my absolute favorites. This is from REM Beauty. This is in the shade Miss Mercury, and I'm obsessed with this. If you watched my review of REM Beauty, you would see how much I liked it. This one is, again, very similar to the Estate one in the sense that it just like glides on, and I don't know, it's just the color of it like blends in with my skin perfectly. It's just so pretty, and I really love this one, and I kind of want to pick it up in more colors, but I mean, after seeing all of this here, I don't know if I need to, but I would definitely consider it because I love that one. Then I have this one here from Bobbi Brown. This is in the shade Pink Glow. And I would say even though it says pink glow, it's more of just like a kind of nude color, but this is really, really pretty. I feel like when I do on my wrist over here, you can't really see, so I'm gonna have to wipe off my hand, but I really like it. This one has a little bit more glitter to it. It's not as just like plain metallic as some of my other ones, so I don't reach for it a ton, but I am happy to have it because I do like Bobbi Brown, and I feel like this was such like a classic back in the day. I'm happy that I finally have it as part of my collection. My hand is all cleaned off, ready for the next ones. But then I have this one over here from Pixi. This is the Glowy Gossamer Duo in Delicate Dew. As you can see, I've used a ton of this. This wasn't a project pan at one point, but it is insane. It is just like so crazy, the formula on this. So pretty. I'm obsessed with the formula. Again, really, really smooth. And then even mixing the colors together is really nice. They're just so blinding. And I don't know, very, very metallic, and it looks really good on the skin. Then I have this one here from Pat McGrath. I really need to take this off. This is in the shade Lunar Nude. I got this, I think this was like part of their holiday collection this year, and I mean, look at that. That's like so pretty, the packaging. This is really gorgeous. It's kind of very similar actually to the Bobbi Brown. I think it's sort of like a pinky nude, but I mean, look at that glow. Has a little bit of a like pink sparkle in it, but I actually really like it. I think it goes on my skin really well, considering I'm not like a huge sparkle fan, but the sparkle in this just like does something. It's so pretty, and I'm obsessed with that one. Then my last three I have over here are from Becca. This is the classic Champagne Pop from Becca, and really gorgeous, kind of like a rose gold type of color. Again, very similar to Precious Petals. Actually, let me swatch them next to each other just so you could see. Yeah, Precious Petals is a little bit darker, but I feel like when they shift like here, they look pretty similar. So I always like to compare those ones. Then I have this one is in Rose Quartz. This is like one of my only sort of true pink highlighters, I think. Really, really pretty. If I want to do a pink look, like this is what I'm going for. I also really like to use this as like an inner corner highlight, since I feel like this one in Moonstone, which I'll swatch next, that's this one, they're very, they're not as reflective, I don't think, as Champagne Pop for some reason. They're a little bit more subtle, but I really like that for an inner corner and like brow bone highlight, which Moonstone is a really nice champagne, so that's one that I use like all the time. But yeah, these are all so pretty, and I really, really like all the ones that I have in my collection, so I don't know how many are gonna go. Maybe I'll add more, maybe I'll get rid of like one or a couple if any of them go bad at any point like that, but I'm really, really happy with my highlighters, and I think that they're all so pretty. So I have 19 highlighters, definitely biggest category so far, but I'm really happy with everything, so not feeling too bad about that. But now let's go ahead and move on to the next category. Alright, so next category up is all of my face palettes. Don't have very many of these, but I do have a couple, so of course I have to include them. I guess I'll start off with this one because I wasn't entirely sure if I should put this with my eyeshadow palettes or if I should put it with my face palettes, just because it does have eyeshadows in it, but it also has face products. So I decided that I would put it with my face palettes just because, I don't know, it has the items, so I wanted to include it. But this is the Tarte Clay Play Volume 2 Eye and Cheek Palette. This is so good. I loved using this one for travel when my boyfriend was away at school for college. I would always bring this when I would go visit him, just because it had like all the stuff that he needed, and it had really pretty nude eyeshadows, and then like all the formulas of this stuff is really good. So yeah, this is really good, and I don't see myself getting rid of it since it is a pretty good travel palette. Then I have this here from Ciate. This is part of their Miss Piggy collection. It was the All About Moi Cream Face Palette. And this one's really pretty. I've used the cream blushes quite a bit. I think this is the one that I used mostly. I don't know the shade names of everything. If I think so, if I'm thinking correctly, this is in the shade Flaunt It, which is just kind of a lighter pink. And then this one is in the shade Fabulous, which is a little bit brighter. Then the shade Oh Kermy is this one over here, probably my least used. It's kind of like a baby pink. And then this one called Diva, which I think this one is another one that I've used and really liked, kind of a more nude color. But yeah, this is really pretty. It is all cream, and I got this as a gift, so I really like that one. And then actually, I guess I can go ahead, maybe I'll swatch the face products from here. It's really good. All of the shades in here actually work super well for me, like the bronzer, the highlighter, and the blush. Like, they're all colors that I really like. I don't know why the bronzer looks so crazy. I kind of did a heavy swatch, but the color of it is really good and it works well for me. So yeah, I really like both of those. Then I have this here from Ofra. This is the Nikki Tutorials highlighting trio. It has the shade Space Baby, Glazed Donut, and Glow Goals. This is so pretty. The formula of these are amazing, and I will go ahead and swatch all of them. They're just that super blinding, like really cool kind of colors. Like Space Baby is a white to blue. There's Glazed Donut, which is like a white champagne kind of gold color, and then Glow Goals is a really nice just straight up golden color. And a lot of the times I'll just like mix these two together and then it creates like the perfect kind of nude sort of shade for me, and it's really, really pretty. So absolutely love this one. The formulas are awesome. Then I have this from NARS. This is the Iconic Glow Cheek Duo. It has Laguna Bronzer and Orgasm Blush. And this one's really pretty. I absolutely love the Laguna Bronzer. This is so nice. Like, it's such a good color and it's really, really blendable. And I don't know, I just really, really like that on me. And then the Orgasm Blush, I mean, this is just a pink with like a golden pearl to it. Not my favorite shade on me just because I don't love super bright pinks, but the golden shift in it definitely adds points onto my list. And I do also really like that one. I got that as a gift for my birthday from my boyfriend last year. And then I have this Ambient Lighting Edit Mini. Mine broke, but this is good. It has like the powder in it, which I put a decent dip in. That was also in a project pan of mine. Has a really pretty blush, bronzer, and highlighter. So the powder is just like regular powder, and then I will swatch the bronzer, which the bronzer I really like. It's a little bit warm, but it's not too crazy, and it has a really nice sort of glow to it. And then there's the highlighter. The highlighter is pretty natural, but it's still pretty for like a natural day look. And then the blush is really pretty. It's like a nice kind of nude sort of mauve color, and I really enjoy all of this. It's just annoying that the packaging broke because it's such an expensive product. It's kind of annoying, but that's okay. And then the last palette we have here is from Pat McGrath, which is, this is probably like my favorite one. This is the Divine Blush and Glow Trio in Galactic Sun. I think they had two different shade ranges of this, and then now they also have the Bridgerton collection, but this is the lighter of the two original ones. It has the shade Divine Rose, Desert Orchid, and Golden Nectar. I have been obsessed with this one here. I still really like this one, and it's a very unique color, the Divine Rose one, but I mean, this one is just like right up my alley. Really pretty nude kind of color, and the formula is so good. This is what made me actually pick up the single in this formula, just because it's so good. And then the highlighter is also really pretty. I actually really like to use this as an inner corner highlight. It's a little bit deep for my skin tone, but sheared out, it's definitely not bad at all. But I do really like that as an inner corner highlight. Alright, so in total, I just have 6 face palettes, and let's go ahead and move on to the next section. So next section I think I'm going to do is just my lips, just because this is a lot of stuff and I kind of just want to go through it pretty quickly. The things here on the side, these are just in my Shop My Stash, and then these were things that were on my vanity. So I'm going to go through those first just so I don't get them all mixed up with everything in here. But first thing I have is this one from Tarte. This is the Lip Oil in Cherry Slush, or lip gloss. It's really good. Then Tower 28 in the shade Chill, that's a mini. Then I have the Disney Villains lipstick in the shade Hades, which is a gorgeous nude color. Then I have the Clinique Almost lipstick in Black Honey. This is really pretty, one of my favorites. I think once I use this up, I'm going to repurchase it in the full size. Then I have this mini Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in the shade Pillow Talk, which is such a classic, and I really love the formula. Then I have a NARS Orgasm. Whoa, oh my god. Well, I threw that, but good thing I have 2 of them, so I'll just show you this one. A mini NARS Laguna lip balm thing, I guess. So yeah, I'll just put that one on the side now too. I literally don't know where that other one went, but whatever. Then on my vanity, I just had this from Bobbi Brown. This is in this shade Bare Melon. It's one of their extra lip tints. I literally have like nothing left in this, so I really should just use that up. Then I have this in the shade Very Victoria, another one of the mini Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks, very similar to Pillow Talk. Then I have the Lawless Forget the Filler lip gloss, and then I have 2 of these Animal Crossing ColourPop lip tints. This is in Coconut, and then this one is in Orange Cutie. 2 of my favorites. Then I have this is the Dior lip glow in the shade Mahogany, which is a really pretty sort of nude brown type color. Absolutely love it. Very similar actually to this one here from ColourPop. And then I have the Seraphine Botanicals Berry and Juice Vegan Lip Gel. Obsessed with that one as well. So now let me go ahead and just pour everything out of here. That way I can just really quickly go through everything. Definitely seen crazier collections than mine when it comes to lips, but still a lot of stuff, and I definitely probably need to do another lip declutter just because this is kind of ridiculous and I don't even wear a lot of these. So I think another lip declutter will be in the future for me, but let's just get into it. So first off, I have 4 of these Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips. I have this one, which is a mini in the shade Strawberry, and I really, really like that one. Then I have these ones, which this one is in the shade Buttered Rum. It's one of my favorites. It came, I think these 3 actually, or I don't even know. I think I might have decluttered one because this one's clear. But there was a set of 3 that came in a holiday collection last year, and Buttered Rum was my absolute favorite. So almost used that one up entirely. And then I have the shade Holiday Spritz, which is also really pretty. And then I do have it in clear as well. Then I have some of these Becca lip glosses. These are from the Barbie Faria collection, and this one is in the shade Foiled, and then this one is in the shade Facet. They're iridescent. This one is like a pink with some golden iridescence in it, and then this is a like purple with some purple blue iridescence. Very unique in my collection. Then I have another one of these mini Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks, and this one is in the shade Walk of No Shame, and this one is like a little bit of a darker kind of reddy nude sort of color. Then I have this from Glossier. This is their wildfigbalm.com. This used to be in a Project Pan. I do like this one. It's just, I haven't been using it since it was in my Project Pan. I've been taking a little bit of a break from it, but it's still really, really good. Then I have some of these ones here from ColourPop. Quite a few, actually. These are the Luxe lip glosses. I have another one, oh, right here. So these were from the Rudolph collection, which I haven't tried any of these out yet, like on my lips, but they are so, so cute. I have them in the shade Dolly, Misfit Elephant, and Hermie. So really, really cute. I even like those just for the packaging. Then I actually have this one, and then in my bag, let me go in my bag actually, because I have a couple more things in there. So I think that's everything that I have in like all my bags. But anyway, I have 2 of these ColourPop Star Wars Mandalorian. I think these are the lip oils. This one is in my bag, so it's all rubbed off. Yeah, but this one says Luxe Lip Oil. So I have this one in the shade Dinjarin, and then this one in this shade Grogu. This one here is so pretty. It's just like a sort of cream nude color, but I really, really like that one. And then this one's in the shade Grogu, which is just like a clear with a super pretty just like iridescence to it, but once it's on your lips, like you can't even see it really that much. So that's a kind of like sparkly lip gloss that I actually really like. So I have those 2. And then the other 2 things I had in my bag were this Lanolips 101 ointment. This is the coconut one, and an issue that I've had is they like have changed their packaging where they always break over here, because I have another one that I keep downstairs and that one is also broken. So I don't know what's up with that, but the formula of these are really thick and super hydrating, and I like to use this if I'm like wearing it overnight, or it's good to keep in your bag because I feel like your bag lip balm is like you're really desperate for lip balm, so I feel like I want to have a really nice one in there. So that's one that I always keep with my bag. And what I also keep in there, which I don't know why I was keeping it in there, I think I went out one night and I wanted to take this with me, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner, which is their lip cheat in the shade Pillow Talk 2, and this is just like the best lip shade. I'm not going to swatch pretty much anything else, but the color on here is just amazing and I'm so obsessed with it. Really, really love that one. And then I also have some more of these ones here from ColourPop. These were the rest of the ones from the Animal Crossing collection. I have the peach one, the pear one, the apple one, and the cherry one. These all smell so good, and the colors are exactly the colors that are on the ends over here, and I love that formula a lot. Then I have another Tower 28 gloss. This is in the shade Coconut. Also got this, I think, in an Ipsy Plus or an Ipsy Glam Bag X. If I were to choose, I would have picked one that wasn't as pink, but the formula of this is so good and I really, really like it. Then I have a couple more, Fenty glosses. 2 minis. This one is in the shade Confetti, and this one is in the shade Hot Chocolate. And then I also have Fenty Glow, which is one of the cream ones. So that one doesn't have any shimmer to it, which I like. It's a little bit thicker, which isn't my preferred thing, but I do like it a little bit more than the ones with the shimmer. I don't know why I have this one. I think at some point I'll probably declutter this one since I have the one from ColourPop from the Mandalorian collection, but that one's kind of like a blue iridescent. And then Hot Chocolate I actually do like. Even though it's a little bit shimmery, it's kind of a really pretty brown shade, so do enjoy that one. Then I have a couple of MAC lipsticks. I have this one in the shade Brave, which is like a pink kind of color. Then I have this one in Ladybug, which is a sheer red. Then I have this one in the shade Aloof, which is a kind of cream pink color. And then I have this one in Velvet Teddy, which is just that classic, really pretty brown nude kind of shade. Let's see, kind of bring everything a little bit closer together now. I have two other lip liners. Well, I actually have the Kylie Lip Kit. This is in the shade Posy K. It's in the old packaging, but this is really pretty. It's kind of like a pinky mauve kind of shade, but mine still smells really good, and I still do like the shade. I don't have very many liquid lipsticks like at all. I think this and like maybe one or two others are the only ones I have. And then I also have the matching lip liner, which I really like the lip liner too. You can see I've used quite a bit of it. So I have that. Then I have another lip liner. This one is from e.l.f. This is part of the Nabella Noir collection, and this one is more of like a brown kind of shade, so it's good to have. I don't have very many lip liners. I just have these two and then that Charlotte Tilbury one. Then I have this lipstick from Clinique. Oh, looks like something spilled. I have a feeling it was, yeah, it was definitely this from Clarins. This lip oil, I like can't have it on its side, and it was totally on its side in my thing. This is in the shade Candy, and it's really pretty. It's like one of those pH adjusting ones. It's just super, super bright. You can see it's even like staining my fingers a little bit because I was wiping it off, but that's what got on everything. But anyway, I have this Clinique lipstick here, and this is in the shade Bear Pop, which I have not used this one before. It has a little bit of a shimmer to it, so I might give this to my mom. It's a little bit more up her alley, but that's what I have right now. Then I have this from Patrick Ta. This is the She's Expensive gloss, and this one has a little bit of a shimmer to it as well, and it's kind of minty scented. Then I have this from Urban Decay. This is a mini in the shade Backtalk, which is a kind of cool toned type of color. It's very unique to my collection. Then also that came in the same set as that other one from Clinique. This is in the shade Pink Honey instead of Black Honey, and this one isn't as sheer. It has like, it's like more of like a cream lip instead of a sheer lip, so not my favorite, but I have it, so I have to include it. Then I have two of these ColourPop lippy sticks. This one is in the shade Poison, which is like a super dark kind of red color. And then I have this one in the shade Soft Side, which is a brown. And I got both of these in a ColourPop mystery box. I have a video up on it, and I do like both of them, actually. The formula is pretty good. Then I have this from REM Beauty. This is their lip stain marker, and I have mine in the shade Booked and Busy. So it's literally like a marker, but it's a lip stain, and it works pretty well. I do have to keep mine stored upside down with my eyeliners because it definitely like dries out very easily. And if you kind of like mix other, like if you have like a lip balm on or something and then you put this on, it kind of like dries it out. So I don't know, mine's a little dry. Not the best formula, but the color is pretty. Then I have some more lip balms. I have this one here from Summer Fridays. This is the Lip Butter Balm, just like the original like vanilla one. I think they changed the packaging because the packaging currently is really bad. It just like gets all over the place and it gets really gross, but the formula of the lip balm is really good. Oh, and then I do have another Lana Lips. This one is in the peach one, and I do really like the peach. This was supposed to be downstairs and somehow it migrated its way up here, so I gotta put that back downstairs. Let me put that off to the side. But those are really good. Then this is like one of my only lip plumpers, I think. This is from Milk Makeup. This is the Electric Glossy Lip Plumper, and even though it's red, it's actually just like a clear gloss, and this does sting and tingle, but I really like it. It's a pretty lip plumper. Then I have this from Pat McGrath. This is in the shade Flesh 6. It's one of their mini Lust glosses, and this is like one of those super thick and pigmented lip glosses, but I actually like it because the color is really pretty and it goes super well with my Charlotte Tilbury lip balm. Then I have this here from Revlon. This is their Ultra HD Matte Lip Color. I have mine in the shade Embrace. I wore this to like my senior prom in 2017, so definitely expired. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it still smells good though. Yeah, I mean, it still smells good. I don't wear it because it's like a matte lipstick kind of thing, but I just keep it for the memories. Then I have this from Bare Minerals. This is one of their mini lip gloss bombs in the shade Sincerity, and it has a little bit of a shine to it, but nothing too crazy, and I actually really like the color of this, and the formula is really nice and super hydrating. Then I have another one of these Bobbi Brown Extra Lip Tints. This one is in the shade Bare Nude Sparkle, which this thing is like crazy sparkle, and I used it once. I think I swatched it once, and I'm like, no way, like that's insane. This is just like a glitter bomb. I do not like this at all. And I like the regular formula of this, but this glitter sparkle one is just not it. Then I have two other things here from ColourPop. One of them is the lip gloss, and this is from the Frozen collection, or Frozen 2 collection actually, in the shade Free Spirit. And I really like the ColourPop glosses because they have like a little brush instead of a doe foot, so it just feels fancy. And I love the color of this, and it's also really hydrating. And then I also have one of these liquid lipsticks. I know this is ColourPop because, well, I can tell by the bottom, and then I also just remember buying it. This is in the shade November, and I just kept it because my birthday is in November, and it's a pretty color. The only other liquid lipstick I have that I can actually wear is the Kylie one, which honestly, everything's getting kind of old. I probably need to go through my lip stuff again, but yeah, I have that. Then I have this from Kaja. This is the Earhart lipstick in this shade 03 Ride or Die, and again, very pretty color. All very similar kind of shades that I buy repeatedly, but I like them. And then last thing I have is this Huda Beauty Silk Balm, and this is just in the shade Blush, and this one is really good. It's pretty much just like a clear. I think I showed this in maybe my Shop My Stash video, but yeah, I really like this. The formula is super good. But now let me go ahead and take these all out and then count everything up again, and I'll let you know how many lip products I have. So if I counted correctly, adding everything up, I should have 62 total lip products. So that is a lot, but I definitely think next time I do a lip declutter, I can get that down even more. So hopefully my end of year lip inventory is way less than 62. That is insane. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next category. So next category we're going to go into is eye products. So I have, don't mind my brow stuff off here on the side, but I'm going to do my mascaras first. So I don't have too many mascaras just because I don't really use that many, and I have some of my favorites that I just like to repurchase once I use them up. But first thing I have is an unopened Benefit Bad Gal Bang. This is really good. I used to have this mascara. I usually wear waterproof now, which is why I just haven't been using that one as much. Then I have this from Maybelline. This is the Falsies Push Up Drama, and all these are open, so I figured I'll just show you the brushes. I really like this one. It's definitely nice and lengthening, and it's pretty good. Then I have this one here from Grande. This is the Grande mascara, which is their waterproof conditioning one, and it has like the peptides in it. I definitely have to like build when I use this, but it does eventually get to pretty good lashes, so I do like that. Then I have this one here from Kokie. This is the Stay Dry waterproof mascara. This is okay. It's definitely not my favorite. It's like a more natural mascara just because the bristles are like a natural bristle instead of a plastic one, which is what I prefer, but it's still pretty good. Then I have this from Primark. This is the Aqualash waterproof mascara, and this one, to me, it's very reminiscent of the Bad Gal Bang, but the formula is just a little bit thinner and it doesn't give you like as much volume. Definitely gives you length, but yeah, not as much volume. Then I have this from MAC. This is the Magic Extension Mascara, and I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about this, but I don't know if you'll be able to tell. It has like little fibers in it, so they kind of stick to the ends of your lash and make your lashes look so long, and I really like it for a not waterproof mascara. Then my classic favorite is the L'Oreal Telescopic Waterproof. This thing's amazing. It just makes my lashes look insane every time I use it. It has a really nice skinny brush so you can get like right at the root of your lashes, and it's just amazing. And then another one I really like is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. Definitely not a fave, but it adds a ton of volume, and I still do really like it. Also, an honorable mention that's not here. I have, oh, actually, I do have an unopened one. that's, I think I can talk about. Yeah, another one I have is an unopened L'Oreal Air Volume Mega Mascara, and that one is another really good fave. Good thing I remembered, because this counts as part of my inventory, because I am going to use that once I use up another one. But yeah, so I also have that one. Then I have the Benefit Roller Lash. This is like one that I'm using most often currently. It's pretty good. It's a little bit more natural than what I prefer, but it's still good, again, for non-waterproof. The best non-waterproof mascara I've ever tried in my entire life, and just in general, is this Huda Beauty Legit Lashes. I have a very like little mini of it, but it has two sides. It has like the lengthen and curl, I think, and then the volume side, and the volume side just does like crazy things to my lashes. This mascara is insane. Really like it. And then last one I have is the Benefit They're Real Magnet Mascara. This one is okay. It's not my fave. It doesn't do a ton, but it's good. Like, I'm not going to get rid of it because I don't like it. I am going to use it. And yeah, so these are all of my mascaras. So in total, I have 12 mascaras. Kind of a lot, actually. I do have quite a few of them in my everyday makeup drawer that I rotate through, but hopefully by the end of the year, I do not have as many as 12. It's a little bit crazy, but that's it for mascaras. So let's go ahead and move on to the next category. Next category I'm going to do is eyeliners, and I don't have too many of them. Oh, who am I kidding? Oh my gosh, I have a ton over here. Actually, give me one sec. I definitely have way more eyeliners than this. You can see I have quite a few here of my favorites, but yeah, I guess we'll just start over here with the ones I don't wear as much. I have two of these like potted. These are the cream gel colors. This one is in the shade Spring Day, and this one is in the shade Stardust. I'm pretty sure these are eyeliners. I think they were marketed as eyeliners, and they sure look like it, but the formula of these is not very good, if I'm going to be honest. So yeah, but those are the first two. Oh, I remembered. I also have this. This is my liner palette. This is like the water activated one from Glisten Cosmetics, and this is like a custom 4-pan that I picked out. If you're interested in what any of like the different ones that I picked out were, just leave a comment and then I can look it up and I'll let you know. But I also have that, and this I'm just going to count as one just because it's like one palette, you know, even though there's like different split pans. But yeah, so we have that one, and then I'll put all my liquids together. Then I have two of these here from NYX. These are their jumbo eye pencils. I have this one in Black Bean, and then this one in Milk, which is just like the black and white one. So I have those for like more Halloween type looks. Then I have this Urban Decay Glide On eye pencil in the shade Mildew, and this is just like a dark sort of emerald green kind of color. It's very pretty. Then I have this from KKW. This is in the shade Copper, and it's just, again, a copper eyeliner. It has a little bit of a metallic finish to it. Then I have this one here from Pixi. This is their Endless Silky Eye Pen in the shade Bronze Beam, and this one is just like a little bit more brown and honestly super creamy. It's actually very similar to the Urban Decay formula, I think, like just in the way that they feel. Then I have this one from Too Faced. This is the Killer Liner in the shade Killer Camo, and this is really pretty. I actually sharpen this a lot, and then I just like to use it for a wing because the color is so pretty. This is like my exact favorite color green, so really like it. Then I have a couple of liquid liners. I have this one from KVD. This is my only black one, I think. This is the Tattoo Liner in Trooper Black. I don't wear black eyeliner, but it's always good to like have one, you know? I mean, I did do a Halloween look where I did black liner, so it came in handy then. Then I have all of these here from ColourPop. I think I have every single shade that they make. So I have the pink one in Ducky. Then I have the brown one in Grande, which is my favorite, which I'm running a giveaway right now, which I will talk about at the end. That includes that. Then I have the dark blue in Crazy. I have the lighter blue in Sky High. I have the, I think it's like more vibrant red in the shade Chili. And then the deeper red in the shade Try Me. Then I have the dark green in the shade The Hills. I have a nude in the shade Honey Girl, and then I have white in the shade Graceland. So those are all of my ColourPop liners. And then I have these two here, which are two of my favorites. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Feline Flick in Super Brown, which is just a really, really pretty dark brown. This is probably my most used. And then my other most used is the Fenty Fly Liner in the shade Big Truffle. And this one is really good. This has like a super fine tip, so both of these are really good and super easy to make a really precise wing, as well as the other brown one from ColourPop. the brush on this one is also really good. So yeah, these are all of my eyeliners. So in total, I have 21 eyeliners. So let's go ahead and move on to the next section. The next category we have is eye primers, a very small category, only 4 of them, but I have the first thing is the NYX Glitter Primer, pretty self-explanatory, I really like that one. Then I have this from My To You NYC, I don't know. This is, it like looks like it has color, but I'm pretty sure it just blends out. Yeah, I haven't really used this one, if I'm going to be honest. I don't really use eye primer all that much. If I do, I'll like use this Smashbox one or my NYX one. So I don't know, but I have this mini Smashbox 24-hour photo finish. This is like another translucent one. And then I have this from Kimchi. This is actually concealer, but I purchased it in white to use with my pressed pigments, like my Beauty Bay Nikki Tutorials eyeshadow palette. That one works better on like a super sticky like white base to make the colors pop a little bit more. So yeah, I picked up this Kimchi concealer and I just use this as a white eyeshadow primer because the formula is really good to do under eyeshadow. So yeah, for my primers, I just have 4 of them, and that is it for this section. So next section up we have is brows. Again, not a ton of stuff. I just like to kind of use my favorites, and that's about it. But I have 3 pencils. So I have this one from Primark. This is the Brow Sketch in the shade Dark Brown, and this is just like a really simple micro brow pencil. It's not my favorite one. Like if I did a declutter, this one probably would not stick around, but I do have it for now. Then I have this one from MAC. This is the Eyebrow Styler in the shade Spiked, which is just like a really good, cool toned brown shade. And I'm almost out of that actually, which is why I purchased this next one, which is the Kosas Brow Pop. This is the dual action defining pencil. And this one is a micro brow pencil, but it has that like triangular tip. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but I really like this. And I have this one in medium brown, and it's like a perfect shade for me. I really enjoy it. Then I have 2 like brow pen type products. The first one I have is this one from Benefit. This is the Brow Micro Filling Pen in medium brown. And this is the one that has like the 3 prongs, which is probably my favorite. I feel like it's a little bit easier. And this one is pretty sheer, but it works really well with my brows, so I enjoy it. And then I have this one from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Brow Pen in dark brown. And this one looks like an eyeliner, but it's just like a fine tip brow pen. Not my favorite one, but I don't have that many brow products, so I was like, you know what, I'll just keep it. Then I have brow gels, which apparently is my biggest category. I have a couple that are tinted, and then I have 2 clear. So the tinted ones I have are this one. This is the Benefit Gimme Brow. I think this is in shade 3.5. I'm not sure. All of the writing has rubbed off, but yeah, that is this one. Really like that one. Very similar actually to it is the Essence Make Me Brow. So if you're looking for a more affordable dupe to the Benefit Gimme Brow, I would recommend the Essence Make Me Brow because they both have fibers in them and they're very similar formula. Then I have this from Huda Beauty. This is the Balm Brows Full and Fluffy. This one is one of my favorite tinted ones. It has a super skinny brush and it also has fibers in it, so I like that. And then the one that I've been using a lot lately, and I think once I use up this mini, I will purchase the full size. This is the Kosas Airbrow in the shade Medium Brown. And this one is really good. It's kind of thicker almost, and I don't know, it just really holds my brows in place, and I like the color of it. Then for my 2 clear ones, I have the Kosas Airbrow in just the clear shade. Mine looks really crusty because my brow products I get in it. But yeah, it has the really nice small brush and the packaging is so pretty and I really like the formula and it doesn't like make my brows get all weird and like pill up almost. And then I have the Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel. And this, as you can see, is like super sticky. I don't know how well you'll be able to tell. It's a really interesting brush. It's really big for a brow gel, kind of looks like a mascara tube, but this one really sticks your brows down and makes them like kind of crispy, which if you're looking for that, it's really good. It's a little bit intense for me, but if I'm like going out or if like I think I'm gonna be sweating or like over the summer or something like that, I do really like to use that one. So yeah, these are all of my brow products. So in total, I have 11 brow products. If I want to be specific, I have 3 pencils, 2 pens, 4 tinted brow gels, and then 2 clear brow gels if I wanted to do it individually. But yeah, that is all of my brow stuff. I think pretty sure this is the final section before we get to all my eyeshadow palettes, but this is just some of my single eyeshadows. Not some, all of my single eyeshadows. I don't have very many, which is why I didn't categorize them into like stick, liquid, powder. I mean, I kind of did, but I'm not going to count them that way. I'm just going to count them all together. But ooh, first thing I have is this from Thrive Cosmetics. This is the Brilliant Eye Brightener in the shade Aurora, and I'll swatch these, I guess. This is just like a very pretty kind of rose gold, very simple shade. Then I have this from Bobbi Brown. This is their Longwear Cream Shadow Stick in the shade Golden Bronze. This is really pretty. I like to use this as like an all over type of shade and really enjoy that. Then I have this one from Ciate London. This is their Eye Luster Cream Eyeshadow, and mine is in the shade Eclectic, and this one is pretty cool. It's actually very pretty. Every time I try to declutter this, I just can't because it's actually a really good formula. Then I have this from e.l.f. This is the e.l.f. X J Kissa collection. This is the Suki to My Heart. It has this green shade on this side, which is so cool. I really need to use that in the springtime. And then it has this sort of like sheer iridescent side as well, which is like also really pretty. So I have this. Then I have two of these Stila ones. This one is in the shade Smoldering Satin, and I'm pretty sure both of these are still good. Yeah, this one definitely is. I think I purchased this one at like a TJ Maxx within the last couple months. And then I have this one in the shade Eternal, which is a little bit more of a bronzy kind of shade, not as glittery, but still very, very pretty and still very juicy. Then I have this from R.A.M. Beauty. This is in the shade Science Fair. I reviewed this on my channel. I wasn't obsessed with this one, kind of sheared out, but maybe if I did like a thicker, just kind of like graphic eye with it, it may come out a little better. Then I also have a matte one in the shade As If, and this one I did really like. It was super easy to kind of blend out all over. And yeah, I did like it. I just don't really use like liquid shadows like this all that much, but it's a pretty good formula. So these are all of my liquids. And then I'll make a little room down here for my powders. This is a Quo eyeshadow. This is the Back to Basics eyeshadow in the shade Prim. This I got when I visited Canada. I was in Toronto a couple years ago. I think it was in like 2019, maybe I went, the summer of 2019. But yeah, it's just like a kind of nude color. You can't really see it, but I do like it. Then I have a single of the Natasha Denona Retro Palette. This is in the shade Helio. I do have the full size now, so I probably don't need the single, but it's still very, very pretty. And I definitely enjoy that shade. Then I have this NYX single eyeshadow. This is in the shade Zen. I also wore this on my senior prom because my prom dress was green, and I wanted to, match my makeup to it, so I picked up a single. So this is like another kind of nostalgia thing, but yeah. And then this one I'm not going to swatch just because it's like a loose glitter. I didn't realize this was a loose product. I thought this is just another one of the JD Glow like pressed shadows because I just saw it like based on the swatch. But it is a single, but this is in the shade Astonishing, and it's just like this iridescent, really pretty loose one. But yeah, these are all of my single eyeshadows. I have 12 of them in total, so not too many. But now we're going to move on to my eyeshadows, like my eyeshadow palettes, and that is going to be pretty big. This video is already like super long. Like I've been importing the footage and I already have like an hour and a half worth of footage. So we will see. This eyeshadow palette inventory is going to take very long, but I'm going to try to go through it fast. But let's go ahead and get on to that part. So I actually just finished filming, but I realized I forgot to do my setting spray. So I'm just popping back in before we start with my eyeshadow palettes to do my setting spray. So first one I have is this one from Benefit. This is the Professional Super Setter. This is just a little mini. Then I also have the All Nighter Pollution Protection. This one's super good. Then for more of a glowy one, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dewy Set setting spray. I've actually gone through a full size of this before and I repurchased it. That one is really, really dewy and really, really hydrates your skin. Then I have this one from IT Cosmetics. This is the Your Skin But Better setting spray. This one's really good. It makes your makeup last a long time, and it also is really hydrating. So this one I think I like even better than the All Nighter. It's like the combination of the dewy set and the All Nighter, but like in one. And then by far my favorite one ever is this one here from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrushed Flawless Setting Spray. This is another mini, but I do think I'm going to purchase the full size once mine's done. I'm about halfway done with mine right now. This one, your makeup does not budge, like wearing a mask all day, sweating, anything. Like this just keeps it together and nothing ever breaks up whenever I use that setting spray. So this is all of my setting sprays. I only have 5 of them and I'm very happy with it. I used to have a lot at one point, But now I've kind of curated it to just the ones that I like the best. So yeah, these are all of my setting mists. All right, so I'm pretty sure I've gathered all of my eyeshadow palettes all together. Off camera though, I do have all of my ColourPop palettes next to me, so I'm just gonna go through those first just because I can't fit them all on my very little desk. Everything is piled up like 10 palettes high, but I'm gonna go through all those first. So first thing I have from ColourPop are these Animal Crossing ones. So I have the 5-Star Island, which looks like this. Then I have the Nook Ink, which is the green palette. Then La Belle of the Ball is the purple palette. And What a Hoot is the nude palette from that collection. Then I have some of these 9 pans, so I'll just go through these really quickly. I have both of the Mandalorian collections, so I have the Mandalorian palette, which looks like this, really cool. Then I also have the Grogu palette, which is the green, which is like the original one from the collection. Then I have the That's Taupe palette, which is just a cool tone nude. And then I have the Sprinkle a Little Bit of Magic palette, which is from the Tinkerbell collection. Really, really gorgeous. Then I have some of the hard plastic ones. This is In a Trance, and I did lose one of the shades. Then I have Baby Got Peach, which is their peach palette. And Main Squeeze, which is one of their red palettes, which is also really, really pretty. I have some of the 12, and I don't know, maybe some of them have 16, I'm actually not sure. But I first off have some of the ones from the Hocus Pocus collection. So this is the one from this year. This was the Witching Hour palette, and I really like that one. Then I have the original Hocus Pocus palette, which is this one, which again is really pretty. Then this one from the Powerpuff Girls collection, which is a super nice bright palette. Then one of my favorites is the Garden Variety palette. I love the purples in here. Then my most recent one is this one from the Rudolph collection, which I haven't used yet, but I really like the shades in here, and it's a really nice kind of elevated neutral palette. And then I have the Limoncello palette, which I picked up, I think this was from last summer, and it's really, really gorgeous. I love the yellow in there. And then the last one I have is this bigger one, which is the Fade into Hue palette, which is their kind of pastel rainbow palette, and I've used the purples in here. I haven't used any of the other like line of shadows yet. I played around with the yellows, but like nothing official. But yeah, that one is also really gorgeous. That's all of my ColourPop shadows. Let's go ahead and tackle the ones that are on here. So this first one I have is from the Her Universe brand, and this was one of their Marvel Infinity eyeshadow palettes. I'm not sure when this one came out. My boyfriend's sister actually gave this to me because hers came broken. I think this was like a black shade, so she got a new one and she ended up giving me this one. But that one's really cool. Then I have this one from Becca. This was from one of their holiday collections a while back. This is the Eyelights palette from the Après Ski Glow collection. And this one, I'm pretty sure these are like eyeshadows, but they're the formula of the highlighters. And that one's really gorgeous. Then in here, I have some of my single eyeshadows. Some of these are from Sydney Grace. I have my other ones from Sydney Grace actually in a different palette, which I might be able to squeeze. I have over here, so I'll show you those right after. But I have these ones here, and then I have 2 from JD Glow, and then these ones here are all from Looksy, and then these 2 down here are from Shine by SD. If you have any questions about any of the shades, or you want to know which are the names of them, again, just leave a comment and I will let you know. And then in here, I have my other ones from these ones up here are from Looksy, and then these ones are from Sydney Grace. This was like my own little custom palette that I made with some of my favorite shadows that I bought from them. But yeah, this is some more of my singles. Then I have this one here. This is the Lorac Riesling Romance eyeshadow palette. This one is super, super old. It was like my first eyeshadow palette ever, but it was just a really simple nude. Then I have this duo here from MAC. I'm not sure which shades are in it, but I just have a sort of shimmery-ish kind of satin pink and a dark brown. Then I have this here from Estate Cosmetics. This is the Venice Fling and Bailey Sarian collab palette. I really, really love this. I love Bailey Sarian more than anything. The shades in here are really nice, and I really like this purple as like a pop on my inner corner. And then Tan Lines is just like a really good kind of transition shade for me. So I have that one. And then I have this from Glamlight. This is the Burger Slider palette, and I wanted to try some stuff from Glamlight. I really want the Ice Cream Dream palette, I think it's called, but I wanted to just kind of dip my toes in some of the Glamlight formula. I wish it wasn't like a puffy, big, circular palette. I wish it was just kind of like a regular 9-pan palette. I feel like I would use it more, actually, I think, because the colors in here are really pretty, but yeah, that is that one. Then I have this from Pure. This is the Raw Beauty Christy collab. I really love this palette. You can see I've hit like major pan in this shade. It has the nude side and then the color side. I haven't really dipped too much into the color side, but I'm certainly experienced with the nude side. I think it's so pretty. Like, I don't know, the whole color story, I really love it. Then I have this. This is the Ulta Collection Rose Gold 12-piece Natural Eyeshadow Palette. This is really good. Actually, you can see I've hit pan in here. It's very basic and very simple. I don't think you can get it anymore, but I do enjoy that one. Then I have this from Rare Beauty. This is the Confident Energy palette. I think she came out with like 2 palettes from this line, but this was just one of them. Got that one as a gift, and I really like it. It's all shimmers. Then I have this one from Beauty Bay. This is the Nikki Tutorials collaboration. This is, I was mentioning before, what I like to use with the white kimchi concealer as my primer. I feel like all the vibrant colors really go on a lot better, and that one's really pretty. Then this is a KVD palette. This is the I don't know the name of it. It just says eyeshadow palette. If you know the name of this, let me know. Maybe the Divine palette? Not sure, but that's what that one looks like. Then another KVD palette I have is this one here. This is the Edge of Reality eyeshadow palette, and this one is really pretty. It has like some really cool duochromes in it that I enjoy, and yeah, that is this one. Then I have from Alter Ego, I have the Goddess palette, and this one is supposed to be a dupe for the gold palette from Natasha Denona. I actually have a video up reviewing this. If you were interested, you could go check it out on my channel. But yeah, they actually don't sell the gold palette anymore, so, and I never purchased it, never got my hands on it. So pretty happy to have the Goddess palette. Then I have this from ABH. This is just the little mini Pro palette, Mini Pro Pigment Palette Volume 2 from the Norvina line of ABH, and really pretty, has some super nice bright colors. Then I have this from Dose of Colors. This was the Desi and Katie Friendcation palette, and again, really, really pretty nudes. I love the browns in here, that green, the blue, and like some of these more nude colors, really pretty. Then I have 2 Huda Beauty palettes. First thing I have is the Rose Gold Remastered palette. I did have the original Rose Gold palette, decluttered it a while back, but the remastered one is really, really good, and I love the colors. I feel like I'm being repetitive saying that I love them, but I do. Then I also have the Desert Dusk palette. This one I actually picked up during the Black Friday sale. I ended up getting it, I think, for only like maybe like $12 to $15 when normally it's like $65. But the shades in here are so pretty, especially this shade here called Twilight. It's like a duochrome. Another good palette. Then I have this one from Tati Beauty. Unfortunately, the brand is not coming back, but I am happy to have the palette because I really love the formula, and the packaging is so nice. Like, it's really thin, but it's kind of heavy because it has like a really big mirror in it, and the quality of the shadows is just really good. Then I have some more palettes up over here. I have this is like one of my little favorites. This is the Sweet and Shimmer little quad. This is from, they did bring this back this year, but I didn't pick up another one just because I still had this one. This is from like 2 Christmases ago. It's just like a really pretty nude one, and for only being $1 as part of like the 5 for $5 at Ulta, really good quality shadows, and I love that one. Then I have the original Urban Decay Naked palette. Mine is not 1,000 years old because I did purchase this when they mentioned that they were going to be discontinuing it. I did never own it originally, but I actually really like the shadow, and the shade Toasted is my favorite for all over my lid. Then I have the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This one is a classic. This was like my favorite one to use in high school. As you can see, I used this one to like set my eyes every day, like because I would put concealer on my eyelids, I would use that. And then I would use Puree and Summer Yum, and then I would always do Luscious on top if I wanted to be crazy. And sometimes I would do the shade Bellini. But yeah, this is a classic, really old, but it still smells good, and it's very nostalgic to me. Then I have some Pat McGrath. This one here, I still have to take the plastic off, but this is the Celestial Odyssey Luxe Quad in the shade Bronze Borealis, and this is so good. I don't think I've used this yet on my channel. I think I only hauled it and then like mentioned it in my Shop My Stash, but I really need to use this in a video because it's so pretty. Then I have this other little one from Pat McGrath. This is the Eye Ecstasy Sublime eyeshadow palette, and this one is the one that has like all shimmers in it, and the shimmers in here are insane. They're that Pat McGrath quality, not the Blitz Astral ones like in the big palettes. I don't have any of that formula, but the regular Pat McGrath like super creamy shimmer formula is in this one, and it's really good. Then I also have the holiday palette from this year. My boyfriend actually got this for me. I love this thing. It is so cool. And some of these shades are super special. Some of them are just regular shimmers, but then like this one and this one are like the super, super like almost creamy type of shimmer. And yeah, this is another one that I need to use on my channel because this is so good. Then I have this one from Lorac. This is the Pro Palette, I think just the original one. Oh, this is the Pro Palette 2. And this one I really like. You can see I hit pan in both of these shades. I made that as a goal for myself one time, and I just used them over like a couple of months, and I did hit pan in those. This is supposed to be my travel to England palette, but then COVID canceled my trip. So yeah, I had that trip planned for literally like, I think it was March 2020. And it was like a week before my trip is when everything shut down, so that got canceled, unfortunately. But I still wanted to use this because I had purchased this to bring on the trip since it's super thin and skinny, and I thought it would be a good travel palette. I made myself use it up, so that's a little story behind that one. Then I have my Natasha Denona palettes. So I have these two over here. I have the Retro palette, which I just mentioned a couple of times in some of my previous videos. I'm obsessed with this. It's so pretty. It's like one of my top palettes ever. It's so good. And then another one I also really love happens to be Natasha Denona. This is the Glam palette. This is such a pretty nude palette. I'm just so obsessed with it. Really love both of those. The formula is like outstanding. And then I also have the mini Sunset palette that I also got as a gift one year from my boyfriend's family, and it's just so good. You can't beat the Natasha Denona formula. It's just amazing. Then what we have left is all of my ABH palettes, actually. So I do have, this is the Soft Glam 2, which is just one of the mini palettes. I don't have the original Soft Glam, but the Soft Glam 2 is like one of my most used. I just mix Dusty Rose with Incense, and then I'll use like any of these kind of on my lid. I love to use this one as my inner corner. This as like a smoky liner. I don't use Orange Soda or Noir that much, but I use like pretty much every shade in here, and it's really, really good. Then I have the Riviera palette, which is one of my faves. It's very colorful and bright, so it's a super fun palette, and like I love the purples in here. I don't know, I just love it. Another really bright one is the Alyssa Edwards palette. If you guys watch Drag Race, let me know. Such a good show. I love that it has like this little neutral quad over here, but then also some really bright ones. And like I don't have like bright blue, bright yellow, and it's just such a good palette to have. It's like such a good staple. Then I have the ABH Prism palette. I bought this on vacation in Miami a couple years ago with my boyfriend, and it just holds a little special place in my heart, and I really love the formula. Then Norvina, I think, is my favorite ABH palette that I have. It's so pretty. I always get compliments whenever I wear this. This shade Dazzling is like stunning. Rose Gold is so good. Celestial, I love. Dreamer, Summer, like literally all of them, and then all the mattes are also really good. So obsessed with the ABH formula, like in this sort of like felt packaging, or like when they do it like this, but in this sort of format is my favorite. Then I have my original Modern Renaissance palette. I got this for like, I think like my 16th birthday or something, and now I'm 22. So it's definitely very old, but you know, it's special and I really like it, and my friend got it for me and it still works. So really love that one. And then finally, I think this is the last of my eyeshadow palettes. I tried to go through really quickly just because I could sit here for forever going through all of them. I did not want to do any swatches because that would take so long. But yeah, last palette we have here is the Sultry. I bought this last year. They were having a kit at Ulta where you could purchase like the Sultry with the eyeliner and the eye primer. But I just bought it really for the palette. I bought it on sale. So I ended up getting it for like less than what just the price of the palette is anyway. But again, this is a really, really pretty nude palette. Like this whole section over here is stunning. I love the shade Cyborg. It's really just like a true silver. And then Bloom to bring a little bit of brightness if you want to use that with like rose quartz and pearl. You can just do like a really nice kind of springy look. So it's definitely very versatile. So that is all my eyeshadow palettes. Let me go ahead and count them all up and I will come back to end the video. Okay, so hoping I counted correctly, I think I had 55 eyeshadow palettes. Definitely less than I thought I had. Like counting them all and going through them, I feel pretty good about it. I've done like countless eyeshadow palette declutters. I feel like I can still do even better at some point in the future, but I'm pretty happy with it for now. But yeah, that is it for my makeup inventory video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. I know at least one person commented that they wanted to see a full makeup inventory, and I feel like these videos are really interesting to see just like everyone's collection like fully all together at once. I think it's super interesting. But yeah, that is it for my inventory collection video, and thank you guys again so much for watching. And before you go, I do just want to mention that I am doing a giveaway, so let me go ahead and grab that stuff to let you know what I am putting in the giveaway and then how to enter. For in honor of when I hit 500 subscribers, which hopefully should be soon, I'm at like around 485 at the time that I'm filming this. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So first thing I'm going to be giving away is one of the ColourPop Mandalorian palettes, and let me just grab mine so you can see what the inside looks like. It's so pretty. It's just like a really nice sort of nude palette and has that really, really cool duochrome in the center. So I'm going to be giving away one of those. Then, like you saw earlier in the video, I'm giving away a ColourPop liquid liner in the shade Grande. This is like one of my favorites. Then I'm also going to be giving away the Real Techniques eye brush set. It comes with like a small fluffy blending brush, a little bit of a bigger one, and then this really nice dual-sided brush. That way it can go with your eyeshadow palette. And then of course, to put everything in, I'm going to also be giving away this really cute, cutest in the galaxy ColourPop makeup bag. It's a really nice size and everything will just fit super nicely in it and any other parts of your makeup collection. It's just a really good travel bag. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video. Again, if you want to enter the giveaway, just check out the description box of this video or any of my past couple videos, and follow me over on Instagram at @hantagliente. You'll find a little bit more info over there, but that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys!